So what if the absolute beginner in your office, like the person who started literally 3 weeks ago and barely knows where the digital coffee machine is, what if they are actually better at using cutting-edge AI than the 10-year veteran sitting right across from them?
I mean, it sounds totally counterintuitive, right? It goes against everything we know about career progression. The traditional model kind of dictates that, well, tenure equals proficiency.
Exactly. You put in the time.
Yeah, you grind through the JIRA tickets, you put in the hours, you master the architecture, and naturally you just get better at using the tools of the trade.
Right. But we are actually challenging that fundamental assumption today. So welcome to the deep dive. We are looking at this really fascinating excerpts from an article. It's titled "The Secret Life of Claude Code, the Junior Developer's Advantage."
Written by Aaron Rose, yeah,
Yeah.
for that tech-reader blog.
Yeah, exactly. And our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack this highly technical but super relatable dynamic. Because whether you're a senior software engineer, a tech lead, or, just someone trying to maximize your use of AI tools in your workflow, we're going to figure out how to fundamentally upgrade that interaction.
Which often means unlearning some really hard-earned habits. And I love how the author sets the stage for this. It's brilliant. We aren't dropped into some sterile, neon-lit Silicon Valley startup with beanbag chairs.
No, not at all.
The narrative actually puts us in this grand, quiet Victorian library in London. It's this environment that is deeply steeped in analog history, a place where, code quality is revered and software craftsmanship is treated with this almost like architectural gravity.
It's such a striking contrast. You have this deeply historical setting, and inside it, developers are grappling with the absolute frontier of artificial intelligence. And in this library, we meet two developers. There's Margaret, who is the wise, seasoned senior engineer, and Timothy, her junior colleague.
Right, though we should clarify the hierarchy here. Timothy is junior to Margaret, but he still has way more experience than the brand new hire they're about to talk about.
Right, Timothy is not the newbie. He's a competent professional.
Exactly. He has established design patterns, he understands the legacy tech debt of his company, and he just operates with this really predictable, efficient rhythm. When he hits a bug or needs to spin up a new microservice, he already has a mental map of how to execute it.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because historically we treat our tools like an intern. Actually, a highly capable intern, but still an intern. Are you just handing that intern a strict, rigid to-do list, or are you asking them for their ideas?
That is the exact trap Timothy falls into. He's giving the AI a strict parameter list to execute his preformed ideas. He's treating a probabilistic reasoning engine like a basic command line interface.
Which totally bottlenecks the technology.
Yeah. Severely. And that brings us to the core observation of the text. Timothy goes to Margaret, and he's looking genuinely unsettled because he's just spent time quietly observing their brand new colleague, the one who's 3 weeks into her very first professional role.
Just watching her use Claude Code. And, I mean, he's not unsettled because she's some prodigy writing flawless code, right?
No, not at all. Her code is actually pretty green. It needs heavy refactoring. What rattles him is that her method, like the way she prompts the model, is functionally vastly superior to his.
Wow. In what way?
She's extracting a much higher quality of reasoning from the AI. She asks the model everything. She asks it to explicitly explain its suggestions. She asks why one approach is better than another. And critically, she asks what she might be missing.
But wait, I got to play devil's advocate here. Isn't experience the whole point of being a senior developer? If Timothy already knows the answer, like he knows the exact React hooks he needs, why is it a bad thing that he isn't asking the AI basic questions?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the junior's lack of knowledge is actually her advantage. She has a blank slate.
Right.
She doesn't have 10 years of established patterns whispering that there's only one right way to do a thing. She has 0 habits to unlearn. So she gives the model this wide open parameter space to explore.
So his experience is literally blinding the AI.
Yes. Margaret calls this out. She tells Timothy that experience is a double-edged sword. It gives you brilliant pattern recognition, which saves time and prevents mistakes. But, and this is Margaret's big philosophical point, it also builds walls.
Man, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, think about navigating a city. When you've lived there for 10 years, you take the exact same route to work every single day on autopilot. You completely ignore your GPS.
Right, because you already know the way.
Exactly.
Right.
But a tourist, like our junior developer, looks at the whole map. They might find some newly open shortcut that you never even considered because you were just relying on your established routine.
That is a perfect analogy. Timothy uses closed prompts. He admits he uses Claude code just to execute his thinking. He types prompts with the answer already half-formed in his head, really just to confirm what he already believes.
Whereas the junior uses open prompts. She's expecting to learn something, expecting an actual answer rather than just managing a tool.
Exactly. And the true risk for an expert like Timothy isn't ignorance. The danger is what Margaret calls invisible assumptions. These are constraints that operate totally silently. They filter and narrow a prompt before the expert even types it out.
Because the expert assumes certain limitations exist that might not actually apply to the AI.
Right. A closed prompt gives the AI zero room to surprise you. You're boxing it in with your own invisible assumptions.
That brings us to this really specific tactic the text talks about, asking the AI to explain its suggestions. Timothy realizes he never does this.
Yeah, he just reads the output, assumes the reasoning is apparent, and moves on.
And Margaret drops this brilliant distinction on him. She says, apparent and correct are not the same thing.
I love that line. Because when an expert reads AI output, they automatically fill in the blanks with their own reasoning. Timothy looks at the code, it looks familiar, so he assumes that AI used the same sophisticated logic he would have used.
But that might not be the reasoning the AI actually used.
Precisely. The AI might have hallucinated its way to a correct-looking syntax using completely flawed logic.
Here's where it gets really interesting, I think. It's like being back in middle school math class, where the teacher forces you to show your work.
Oh, yeah.
Getting the right answer just isn't enough. If the logic you use to get there is flawed, the whole foundation is shaky. And by asking the AI why, the junior gets two huge benefits.
First, she gets the actual explanation, which might reveal a massive weakness in the code that would have otherwise slipped into production.
Right. And second,
the second benefit is she builds the crucial habit of interrogation. She ensures she never blindly accepts an output. Timothy has actually let that muscle atrophy because his pattern recognition is so strong.
okay, so if I'm listening to this, and I'm a 10-year veteran, a senior engineer, a marketing director, whatever, what's the goal here? Am I supposed to just lobotomize myself and forget everything I know to get better AI output?
No, not at all. The goal is not for seniors to pretend they don't know the system constraints or the history. You need that context. As Margaret says, the ultimate goal is to ask beginners questions with an expert's context.
Ask beginners questions with an expert's context. That's powerful.
It is. And Margaret gives Timothy 3 really practical strategies to achieve this discipline, things you can actually use in your next prompt.
Let's get into those. What's the first one?
First, ask Claude Code to propose an approach before you name your own preferred one. Don't lead the witness. Let the AI show its cards before you bias it with your ideas.
Okay, I like that. Withhold your premise. What's number 2?
Second, ask for 3 distinct solutions instead of 1, even if you are absolutely confident you know the single right way to do it.
Oh, wow. So you're forcing it to explore different pathways.
Exactly. You're breaking out of that invisible assumption by mathematically demanding alternatives.
And the third strategy?
The third one requires some humility. You outline your preferred approach, and then you ask the AI to argue against it. Tell it to act like a skeptical senior engineer and point out what a reasonable professional would object to.
I mean, that's just red teaming your own brain.
It is. Margaret has this profound observation here. She tells him, right and examined is worth more than right and assumed. Using the AI as a counterweight to your own certainty often produces just far superior results.
Okay, but in the real world, with tight deadlines, sprint goals, constant Slack messages, how does a veteran actually force themselves to do this? It sounds like it goes against the very nature of an expert trying to be efficient.
It does feel inefficient in the moment, but the climatic takeaway here is about the discipline of curiosity. The best senior engineers never stop being curious, and they ask questions without any embarrassment. They aren't worried that asking a basic question diminishes their expertise.
That's a huge mindset shift.
Yeah, the text frames it perfectly. Curiosity in a junior developer is circumstance. Curiosity in a senior developer is a choice.
A choice. Because the junior literally has to ask to survive. The senior has to actively choose to pause and ask.
Exactly. You have to push past the comfort of assuming you already know the answer.
So, as the story resolves, Timothy actually takes this to heart. He decides he's going to observe his junior colleague again the next day, but in silence.
Right, he's just going to watch her workflow.
And he vows to try her method of open prompting for just one single task, just to see what happens when he suspends his assumptions.
It's a great low-stakes way to test the waters.
So for you listening, the core takeaway is pretty clear. Whether you're coding, writing a legal brief, researching a market, you have to check your invisible assumptions at the door.
Treat your AI tools not just as execution engines, but as actual learning partners. Keep the question alive inside your certainty.
Keep the question alive. I really want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We've talked all about how stepping back and asking beginner questions unlocks all this hidden potential in an AI model.
It forces the machine to give you its best work.
Right. But imagine what would happen if we applied that exact same open prompting strategy to the human experts we interact with every single day.
Oh, that's an interesting pivot.
Think about it. What invisible assumptions are filtering the questions you ask your own colleagues? What would happen if you sat down with a 10-year veteran in your office and just asked them to red team your logic without getting defensive? Maybe that beginner's mind is the ultimate advantage for all of us.